One of the most critical habits that congregations can change in order to be stronger is the habit of measuring success by counting the number of people in the room. A story. A rabbi and a president walk into a copy room. The president asks about the weekend's activities and how they went. Great, says the rabbi. Nice crowd on Friday night. The family for the bar mitzvah was big, so the sanctuary felt full. On Sunday, we tested the new parent program. Ah, the new parent program, says the president. How did it go? Well, great attendance. The room was full. We would have run out of food, except there was leftover from the teacher's breakfast. And I got the teens to do community service, so we're under budget. People were paying attention, only a few on smartphones, only one complaint, and from a usual suspect. A raging success, says the president. I can't wait to report that to the board. What's wrong with this story? It plays out in congregations around North America every day. The measures of success used in this congregation are only focused on how well the congregation executed the program, and they don't take into consideration at all the experience that the participants had. Our congregations are not here only to do program, but that's how we measure our success. Our congregations are here to help congregants develop deep relationships, to support them with Jewish ritual through hard times, and to be there with them to celebrate in times of joy. Our congregations are here to help congregants wrestle with the biggest questions they have about purpose and mortality. And our congregations are here to inspire our congregants to help create a more just, whole, and compassionate world. So why is it that we only measure our success by how well our program went and not by those things that participants care about? This is our history. When we built our buildings, our temples, whether it was in the last half of the 19th century or in the mid-20th century, we were focused on place. We built cathedral-like urban spaces, and we built suburban campuses, and everything in between. Our buildings marked a sense that we as Jews had arrived. Our culture as Jews supported the notion that if we build those buildings, they will come. By the 1970s, we were in the middle of a shift to program. Booming religious schools, social action programs, brotherhoods and sisterhoods taught us that if we create something inside the buildings, they will come. Now we are shifting again. Simply having a building with things going on no longer seems like enough. Our culture is forcing us to look at the participant experience. If we can inspire people with our worship, enrich them with our education, and move them with our social justice, they will come. The problem is that when we talk about success, we largely ignore whether or not we are inspiring, enriching, or moving. We're so focused on programmatic measures of success. A hypothesis. What our participants are looking for in congregational life? Deep relationships with people who will be there for them, with Jewish ritual in difficult times, and in joy. Jewish text, culture, and history to support their search for meaning, to help them address the big questions of purpose and mortality that they wrestle with, and the call of our tradition and our prophets to make an impact on the world around them, bringing wholeness, justice, and compassion to their communities. These participant outcomes are what we should be measuring. It's important to notice that any individual will look at these outcomes differently. Some people are relationship people, some people are meaning people, and others focus mostly on impact. It's also true that on different days of the week, people may care more about one than the other. But it's also true that it's these things that people are likely looking for, and not whether or not there was enough food in the room when they came to an event. Why do we care so much about what we measure? Here's the dynamic at work in most congregations. What we measure is what we reward. When we measure something, it tends to be what we talk about. And what we talk about in meetings is a reward. When we give someone airtime to speak about what they've done, they feel kavod. And what we reward is what we do. What if we started instead by thinking about what we want to do, what our outcomes are? Relationship, impact, and meaning. And then ask what we want to reward with our words and actions in order to make those outcomes happen. And then backed up even further to ask what we'd have to measure in order to reward those actions, in order to have something to talk about. What are the things that we would want to measure? We might end up with a completely different set of measures. This isn't necessarily so easy. Let's look again at our existing measures. What do we notice about them? All of these measures can be quantified easily, and all of them can be measured without talking to a single person who attended the event. A board member can sit in the back of the room quietly and notice and count and be able to tell you whether or not a program was a success based on these measures. The new measures require new skills. We have to learn how to measure relationship, impact, and meaning. We have to ask new questions, and we have to interact with our participants in new ways to know if we've been successful. It's new and it's hard, but it's not impossible. I want to give you 3 quick examples that might help you get started in this work. At one congregation, they start every board meeting with a go around the table. Each board member has to talk about one new person they met in the last month. They can pass if they want to, but no one wants to. Having a story is a reward. So now every board member goes out of their way to meet new people every month. At another congregation, the director of education gives a report at every board meeting. Traditionally, the report is required to contain only registration numbers and budget numbers. But slowly, this educator changes her report. Over time, she adds a discussion about the programs that she's running and the impact that they're having on the students in the classes. She wants to give students a sense of empowerment, a sense of urgency to make the world a better place. She talks about the 8th grade class and how they studied text on feeding the hungry and then worked at a food bank and how this changed their perspective. Then, and only then, she reports the numbers. A rabbi gets a lot of compliments after his sermon. Instead of only accepting them, he begins to take the conversation a bit deeper. Tell me what moved you in the sermon. What's going on in your life that led that sermon to have meaning for you? I know someone else that's struggling with that. Can I connect you to them? By going a little bit deeper, by asking about relationship, about meaning, about impact, instead of only accepting the compliment, the rabbi has opened up a whole new world of possibilities for that congregant. And remember, the point of this is to add the new measures to the existing measures. The number of people in a room does matter to the energy in the room. Balancing a budget is important to the long-term financial stability of an organization. But if we only measure those things, we're missing a big part of what our participants, our congregants, care about. We must add the new measures to the existing measures in order to be successful and stronger as congregations.